I work for MHA. I work at Kia House, and Kia House is a hospital diversion program. It offers respite for people dealing with mental health or substance abuse issues. And how I came to learn about Kia House and MHA is I was going through a difficult time in my own mental illness. I had been hospitalized probably 10 times within 2 years, and I wasn't doing well, and a friend of mine said, well, why don't you give Kia House a try? So I went to Kia House, and it was unlike anything I had experienced before when dealing with my mental health. I felt like the people at the hospital really didn't care about me as a person, and it was the complete opposite when I went to Kia House. I felt validated. I felt like I was not being judged at all, and it was a really positive experience. The thing that I really love about Kia House is that it is that non-judgmental atmosphere, and I think everyone needs that to feel safe. And when you feel safe, you can open up about your mental illness, and you can look towards recovery instead of being stuck in that label and that stigma. But I feel like this is the first job I've ever had where I feel like I am making a difference. And that in itself is beneficial for me because that makes me feel better in my own recovery.
Jason, you had recently suggested that you're growing more and more disappointed in people. And I can relate. They preach acceptance while excluding those who are not like them. They preach accountability while blissfully ignoring their own biases and actions. And they preach forgiveness that's perforated with loopholes of exceptions. Losing faith, that's 2 words we both understand. However, you just witnessed the testimony of Jocelyn. And I believe restoring hope is 2 words that are applicable here. Another 2 very powerful words: mental health, psychological wellness. We all want this, don't we? To feel well in mind, body, and spirit. And when there's a disconnect between society and ourselves, that becomes a crucial factor in driving and maintaining us in a state of unwellness. Jocelyn had also gone through disconnect, yet she's not only found reconnection with the Mental Health Association, she is now an individual rekindling hope in others. Let me show you other examples to hold faith in humankind. Your friend Anna.
I do think the Northern Lighthouse offers a very unique place for people to come and to worship because they will be accepted and they can find a home. And I think sometimes people are really afraid of church, and they're really afraid of churchy people because of the judgment and because of the idea that you have to clean yourself up to go to church. And I think what they find when they come to the Northern Lighthouse, what I hope they find, what they say they find, is real people with real issues, and people that are very honest about what their issues are, and a family of people that loves us no matter what. That unconditional love of a family.
Brody, who you barely know, yet in a few sentences, he spoke volumes to you.
The reason that I personally got into nonprofit work was very much so tied to this quote that's stuck with me for a number of years. This quote that says, "Be the person that you needed when you were younger." Because for a lot of people in difficult spaces, they just don't have that good, positive community around them to get them out of whatever issues they're dealing with. And for a lot of them, had difficult upbringings, had difficult childhoods in whatever way that might have been. And, if we can be that person that they needed when they were younger but didn't have, if we can be that person now, that's a win in my book. To just, walk with people and to love on them, to care for them, to accept them for who they are. But then also to, speak hard truths into their lives and to tell them when they're being idiots and that kind of stuff.
Speaking of hard truths and forward thinking, there is Karen.
And just as Dr. King said, that they would be evaluated by the content of their character, not the color of their skin. And right now, where we are as a nation, I think that there is a great disparity in people being treated differently. And so the work that I do, I'm always looking through that lens of how will this measure up for my grandson and my granddaughter and where they'll be in about 20 years from now.
Or how about your friend Ryan's passion to empower others?
It fills me with a lot of motivation to do my job even better, because I want the world to know that just because a person may be different from you, it does not mean that they aren't capable of doing great things and living independent lives, and yeah, it fuels me.
Here's Amy, who you call one of the lionesses that champions for the people.
A traditional lawyering job, you file lawsuits, and when you lose, you go home. You're done. But this type of work, where no battle is lost and you can keep fighting on a different front, means that you never give up and you never feel despairing. Because I think it can be hard to always be the David facing against the Goliath, and there are times when it feels hard to keep on with the slug towards justice. But because we see those gains, if not in this arena, then in that arena, buoys up your spirits and keeps your morale up so that you keep going for whatever the next battle is.
I remember, Jason, in one of our many talks, how you had whispered that you were a child that people often wept and prayed for, but did not truly love. Trauma is one of the ultimate tools that torture our lives, leaving us sitting outside the circle of community, alone, wondering if this life is even worth living.
We have to really understand the decisions we make when folks are developing, when folks are figuring out who they are. Those super important years in a person's development, those type of decisions can redirect you. So oftentimes we want to place the reasons in like 3 buckets of, well, this person did not stay in the community because of X. When honestly and truthfully, and in a way that I think people don't want to admit because it means we'd have to do more work and invest more money to fight this issue, it's a myriad of issues that lead people back inside of institutions.
The human spirit, our mental health, is very vulnerable to the world around us and those inhabiting it. It also has a resilience to bounce back, especially when even just one person steps forward and states in action as well as in words, "I see you because I care."
Investing in people is always going to give a return. People increase in value over time, whereas most things depreciate in value over time. But for people to really transform their lives, for people to meet their full potential, for people to realize their meaning, their purpose, their passion, you have to create an environment in which they can do that. And that includes treating people with dignity, treating people with respect, providing people with meaningful opportunities to learn new skills, to meet new people, to connect with the community.
Complex trauma is 2 words that could define your life. Yes, Jason, we agreed not to go into depths in your past at this time, but you often speak of several men you had gotten to know. Most were men who have done terrible things, who had either had or essentially had life sentences, who you assumed did not have no reason to care about anything. Yet these were the individuals who held the spark of hope for you, where you had no light left, who stepped up and said, "I see you, Jason, because I care."
Well, you look at somebody like Chris, who's, I remember coming down one time and he was frantically trying to get forms for the guys who were going to get out so that they could claim something or other on their income tax. And this was stuff he had found out that he was doing for people who would get out at a time that he thought he would never ever have any possibility of getting out, but he was doing that. To have that kind of devotion, or somebody like Mbasa who became a legal assistant so that he could help other people, not himself, but other people. And to do that for years, these are people who are making meaningful differences for other people who will be back and doing it every day for years on end. And that kind of dedication is just mind-blowing, and it's certainly humbling to me, because I mean, I have a great life, and I watch the people that I most admire making a great life under circumstances that are unbelievably dismal.
When we think about recovery, we think about it just being a bunch of drug addicts sitting in a room trying to recover, and that's not what it is. Today I help people recover with mental health. I help people recover with substance abuse. I help people recover from trauma of rape. I help people recover from trauma of getting their kids taken away. I help people recover with trauma of losing their kids and losing their home, being incarcerated. And that's all I need in my life right now. And I'm grateful to be where I'm at. And I'm grateful to be a part of an organization and a team at MHA that has the same vision that I do. And I wouldn't want it any other way right now where I'm at in my life.
Recovery, resilience, those are two words that can get lost in the burden of life, in the symptoms of trauma. Yet those are two words that can kindle in anyone, anywhere, of any circumstance, the fire of hope and purpose.
There's a stigma about people that, well, with mental health problems. They say, well, this person's crazy. See, when we put a stigma up, attach a stigma to a person, what we did was just limit our idea and our self-respect to helping that person. Casey didn't do that. She was able to help any and everyone. From that moment on, I went into MHA and realized what they was doing, and I knew that was it. That was the point for me to begin to work with a lot of people.
Like Kiraka, you have come to believe in MHA's mission to bring those who struggle into a community that sees them, that cares, and that walks along beside them to regain their hope and their purpose. And they will stand up for all, whether it's in neighborhoods, cell blocks, or even before the legislature.
One of the things that I think MHA has brought to the table as far as the Nebraska legislature is that they come and testify in front of different committees, whether it's Health and Human Services Committee or Judiciary Committee, or the special committees that they've had on corrections. We've had several people come and testify in front of them, including Amy and Casey and Jason, and every time they come before them, I can see that the senators value what they have to say. Having that lived experience, having that dedication to helping others, it's great to see the senators pick up on that. And one of the things that I really enjoyed seeing this last year was Jason making his first couple forays into the legislative world and testifying in front of the Judiciary Committee, and how when he talked, they would lean in and listen. I would watch their body language and see that, and I thought that was very positive to see, and they get something out of that. And even the last day of the hearings this year, I think Jason might have been about the last testifier, and they were listening and valuing what he had to say, and I think that's been a great help to them in the many issues that MHA is involved in.
You're not a man with much faith in the American justice system, Jason. Yet you have witnessed a progressive change in the local police and sheriff force and how they interact with people. And in my opinion, it's an inspiring change that took great courage. And in that same opinion, it's a change that I have seen change your own interactions in police system about them.
The attitude in law enforcement, I think, has changed a lot in the last 10, 15 years, and even in the last 4 years since I started, it's changed a lot. I think for a city this size, we're extremely forward-thinking in how we respond to mental health crisis. So, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, it might have been you get sent to the check well for the person or the suspicious person who's pacing on the corner, and you might end up in a fight with them or going to jail or something like that, or detox, where that's not necessarily what they need. Realizing that you have, you can, at times you gotta arrest people, you gotta take them to jail, but that's not always the option that you need to do. That isn't always where you need to go. Sometimes just talking to them, you can make a bigger difference or bigger impact in their lives. I've gotten to realize that as a police officer, you don't just enforce laws. It's not illegal to have mental illness. That's not against the law. But it's a big part of what we do is helping those people. They're people, they need our help, and most people won't help them, so they end up getting pushed into our system, which isn't necessarily right. You don't need the criminal justice system for mental illness, in my opinion.
Humanity has not been lost. Our society struggles with many issues. However, we need only to look around to find those who step forward past all their personal biases and uncomfortability and offer their own spark of hope to rekindle another's. Look at MHA's Hanu House, for example. It is a restorative house that offers individuals coming out of correctional facilities a place to transition back into society with as much support as possible. Instead of accepting the stigma of dealing with criminals, addicts, or whatever label may be put on people, MHA creates a community of mutuality and unity to restore the mental health of the individuals and of society as a whole.
Well, I've got a drug problem with methamphetamines. It's something I've been doing since I was about 15 years old. I got into it when I was 15, and it was slightly a small addiction, you know. I just started out small, and then by the time I was 18, I was starting to use it every day and started selling it, and next thing I know, I'm getting in trouble for it. And so did some research and linked up with the MHA, with Sue Brooks at MHA, got accepted into the Hanu House. My experience since I've been here has been amazing. They help me. I like the peer support. I got a lot of support since I've been out. I've got the support that helps me every day.
Some people gonna show you who they are. They ain't gonna tell you. They gonna tell you who they want you to think they are, but they gonna show you who they are. You know what I mean? And like I said, there's a dude, Crazy Jay, you know what I mean? I messaged this dude one night. I was like, man, I'm losing it, dude. I'm about to give up. I was expecting him to message me back, maybe call me on the phone. He messaged me back. He said, man, I'll be there in a minute. That dude came to this house at 9 o'clock at night, you know what I'm saying? That's actions, man. And he stood out there talking to me for an hour and a half, you know what I mean? Just shooting his shit, you know what I mean? Like, man, you can do what you want, you know what I'm saying? But I feel like you should do what's best for you, you know what I mean? Deep down, we all know what's best for us, you know? One time I got up, I shook Casey Moyer's hand. I was like, man, thanks for everything you did for me. This stood out to me. I shook her hand like, thanks for everything you've done for me. I'm sorry that, and I was leaving. And she's like, no, sit your ass down. This is not what's gonna happen. You know what I mean? So people aren't dwelling on my mistakes where I'm at in my life right now. You know, people aren't making me feel like, oh, you messed up. Now you have to leave. You know what I mean? People aren't, and being a foster kid, that was a big thing. You know what I'm saying? You fight one of your foster brothers and hurt him or something, oh, you gotta go. But you said you gave a shit about me, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, we do, but you gotta go. And then you never talk to him again, you know? So that's a huge thing, to know that when you mess up, you don't have to just go keep messing up to try to fix the problem, you know what I mean?
I just felt like giving up, you know what I mean? But the mom was like, no, man, you're gonna go to the Hanu House, you know what I mean? The mom wrote my letter for me. I told him what I wanted to put the basis at of the letter, and he wrote the letter for me to Amy Jackson, and they accepted me, and I was just like, man, this is crazy, you know what I mean? Then Jason came to pick me up, and I was like, crazy, Jay? You know what I mean? Like, this is crazy, you know what I mean? I see so many people doing positive stuff that it's like, I want to do something positive too, you know what I mean? It makes me want to do good, you know what I mean? When I see everybody else doing positive shit, it makes me want to be positive too and just keep that faith. I said, Mom, don't really want us now. Do foster home, it's like we bounce around, abusing me, neglecting me physically and mentally.
Trauma has no bias, no prejudice, no limitations. So tell me, why does our compassion,
I'm feeling so helpless now. My family's dissing, I miss him and I can't focus now. Would you take me away?
2 words, human kindness. And when we decide we are willing to get uncomfortable, to have deep and sometimes disturbing conversations about ourselves and our society, and when we are willing to shelve our limitations, we will realize that human kindness was never meant to be two words, just as our community was always meant to be a single tribe, one people.
The support that we provide, it doesn't matter if there's substance abuse or mental illness or just the inability, disability to work. I mean, none of that matters. The fact that I'm able to sit here and provide them hope that there's a possibility that we can make this work. We just have to work together and keep inspiring them to, not let their mental illness or substance abuse or physical disability be a roadblock.